Hi! On the Woodpecker today, I'm making a very simple rip fence for my new bandsaw. Sometimes it's useful to have a rip fence while ripping pieces of wood with a bandsaw. On my other saw, I make this one that works at two different heights. It was held onto the saw with powerful magnets. But since my saw doesn't have a metal table, this won't work. That's the reason why I've put a rail on my table. To make this rip fence, I only use cutoffs from my bandsaw. I want to use those two pieces, just like that. The first thing to do is to cut the big block to the same height as the small one and remove its hole. Now I can glue both of them together. While this dries, I cut and rip more wood for the medium and tall fences. Now that I have both sides, I can glue them together. While the glue dries, I cut another piece of maple for the small fence. To hold the small fence to the first two pieces that I've glued, I need to make a knob. So after tilting the bandsaw table, I make a new insert so I can cut the corners of a scrap piece of wood to make my knob. Then I put that on the lathe and turn it round. Next, I drill a hole so I'll be able to insert a nut into it. Turn it around and give it the shape I want. Now that I have a knob, I pound a nut into its hole. Okay, the nut is in place, but not before cracking the wood a little. This is not a big deal, but to be safe, I push some glue inside the crack. Okay, now that all my glue-ups are dried, I can assemble the rip fence. First, I mark where I want the pivot hole and drill it, all pieces at the same time. I'm going to use this bolt to keep them together. So I need to drill some holes so I can recess the head into the fence. When I try this, I can see my holes were not deep enough. I drilled them deeper and now it's perfect. I have enough thread so I can screw the knob. But I have one small problem. Even if I screw this as hard as I can, the fence can still move. To fix this, I'm going to use some non-slip tape. In fact, it's some leftover from the one I've put on the steps at the cottage. The first thing to do is to cut two square pieces to the same width as the small fence. Then stick them in place. After drilling a hole into it, I can try my fence again. Now the fence can't move. This will work just like this. I just need to drill two holes to hold the fence to the T-track. Now I can try this. And after screwing it in place, I can try my rip fence for the first time. This is perfect for thin pieces of wood. But this is not tall enough for thicker pieces of wood. So it's time to add my second glue up. But before I can use it as a tall fence, I need to cut its bottom square. Then both edges. And now I have a medium height fence on one side and a tall one on the other. But to use it, I need to screw it to the small fence. To do so, I drill 2 screws hole. Then I chamfer the holes on both sides. Next, I mark the holes position on the small fence and drill pilot holes. And finally, screw the tall fence to the small one. And here's how my new fence is working. Ha, it's not fancy, but it does the job. And don't forget to come back for the next episode of the Woodpecker.